for, God, then that's my job. I love watching college hoops, but if I have to miss a Saturday of watching my ball games because I'm in the Word of God, fasting and praying, not for myself, but for her, then guess what? I've got to do that because if that's my job as a husband, as a man, it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair. It ain't fair. It ain't fair. It ain't fair. Why do I have to be responsible when God does things in your life that seem so harsh? When God lets you fall into situations that seem so harsh, when God lets you come upon those circumstances that seem so harsh. Here you are trying to be a nice guy, trying to be a nice gal, but yet life itself seems to be conspired against you. How do you respond to God when he's not treating you very nice? How should you respond to God when he's not doing the nice flowery things in your life? How should you respond to God when God has allowed some of these immense spiritual attacks to come into your home? How should you respond so that you get delivered as quickly as possible? How should you respond when God starts messing things up in your life? How should you respond when God starts turning over tables in your life? How should you respond when God starts doing things in your life that don't feel good? How do you respond when God calls you a dog? How should you respond to a Jesus when he's in that mood and in that mode? How should you respond when Jesus is in that fatherly mode of take down them pants, I'm about to spank you? How do you respond? God does things in your life that you don't agree with, you don't approve of, and it caught you out of left field. How do you respond? Well, there's three ways you can respond. And what you want to do is to make sure you respond in such a way, again, that you can be delivered as quickly as possible. Imagine this. The one who is your tormentor is also your deliverer. The one who brought the very trial to your doorstep is also the one who is responsible for delivering you from that trial. Your tormentor is your deliverer. Now that may sound odd to you, but I seem to remember a verse that says, though he slays me, yet will I trust him. It's not odd to know that the same God that is in charge of your deliverance is also the same God who is your tormentor at times. Being saved ain't easy. Living in the church ain't easy. Because the same God who heals me is the same one that breaks my bones. The same God who builds me up is the same God that tears me down. The same God that is responsible for fixing my mind is the same one that cuts it up with the word so sharp that it has two edges to it. The same God who sows encouraging words into my spirit is the same God that tells me about myself and does not hold back. How do you respond? God is not being nice. How should you act when God is not following the script that Joel Osteen told you he always follows? How do you respond when God is not playing and living up to his side of the bargain as the prophets of health and wealth explain to you? How do you respond when you as a saint of God don't have enough money to pay your mortgage? How do you respond as a saint of God when you're sick in your body and the doctors cannot find the answer? How do you respond as a saint of God when your children, who you try to train up right, are now out running the streets doing what they want to do? How do you respond? How do you respond when it seems as though the blood has expired and does not work because your situation is falling by the wayside? First thing you could do is you can respond by getting mad at God. You can get mad at God. You can become very angry with God. You can start to yell at God, and you can start to tell God everything that he's doing wrong and everything that you've done and what he should have done, but the way he messed up, and because his word says this and I thought you was in. You can get mad at God. How many of y'all have been mad at God? y'all mad right now. I get mad at God because of what God did. I'm upset with God. I'm angry with God. You can get mad. And let me say this. Let me clear up this point. There is no sin in getting mad at God. There is no anger. There's no sin in becoming angry with God. God knows that you are but a mere mortal. And as a mere mortal, you have all these emotions that run through your system. It's not a sin to be mad at God. In fact, if you live long enough, you will find yourself in a situation where you will question whether or not God really does know best and really does know what he's doing in your life. If you haven't had one of them prayers where you say, God, do you still know what you're doing? Then you haven't lived enough life yet. But if you've really been saved, then you've had those prayers when you got down on your knees.